playing like trash. Nick, did the Jaguars wait too long to bench Blake Bortles?
Yeah, about 2 years. About 2 years too long. I don't think this is a mistake they made by, if they'd have done it in week 6, it'd have been different. No. The Jaguars made a conscious decision a couple years ago. We think we can win a Super Bowl with this group. And you know what? They were damn close to getting there. If there's not what I think was a faulty whistle on a Miles Jack scoop and score, they're going to beat that Patriots team and go to the Super Bowl. And Blake Bortles would have been a participant. Now, he wouldn't have taken them to the Super Bowl. He would have been on the bus that was driven by the defense. But then after that, they were deluded by what 10 wins actually was. They were deluded by the fact that they thought because we have all this great defensive personnel, it guarantees they're going to play to the level they did last year, have the unprecedented health they had last year, where their top 12 defenders only missed 4 games combined total due to injury. And they ran it all back. They extended Blake Bortles with no backup plan, because if Blake Bortles is your quarterback, you're going to have a quarterback controversy if you have a legitimate backup. If you bring in Teddy Bridgewater, people are going to clamor for him because Blake's not good. And so I don't blame Blake Bortles for being Blake Bortles. I blame the football people for tricking themselves into thinking in 2018 this is a sustainable way to run a franchise, this is a sustainable way to win football games. They're laying in the bed they've spent the last few years making.
They were trying to bank on, they were going to be like Tampa Bay, where they were going to have a quarterback who was not a star, someone who was a manager of the game and a great defense in warm weather, and our defense will be able to overcome people playing in good conditions. Tampa Bay, that's how they won one Super Bowl, but that's also how Tony Dungy got fired. All right, they fired him before they won that Super Bowl. Brought in John Gruden with Tony Dungy's personnel. That next year, offensively, they were just enough to be able to get past the Oakland Raiders in that suit. So Jacksonville, that model doesn't work. They put so much money into their offensive line. They drafted Leonard Fournette, which that was a mistake. Leonard Fournette is not going to be, there are not no backs in the NFL that look like Leonard Fournette. There's no prolific backs that run to contact like Leonard Fournette. You cannot stay healthy, and he has not had a good season since his freshman year. They drafted him at number 4 because off his freshman year at LSU, where he dominated college football. He looked like Herschel Walker looked when he was in football. He looked like Bo Jackson looked like when he was in college football. But also, what kind of pro career did those guys have running the ball? And they played in an era where you could dominate being a big physical guy. So they made a number of bad decisions in who they were going to have at their quarterback and lack of competition that they brought in for Blake Bortles. And they had the opportunity to bring in Cap. They didn't bring in Cap. And you could start to see that the decisions that they have made now, that they are, you could see this is the team they put together, and Blake Bortles can't support this team.
See, what do you always say? You said that this morning, we are nothing but a collection of our decisions.
Yes.
And the Jacksonville Jaguars, before they picked up Blake Bortles' 5th-year option, which then led to them extending him, before any of that, they had a fork-in-the-road moment in the draft 2 years ago. I'm glad you focused on it. They are at number 4. Mitch Trubisky, surprising to many people, is the first quarterback off the board. Chicago trades up to get him. He goes at number 2. You have Deshaun Watson, a national champion, sitting there, and Pat Mahomes, who people loved his measurables. And they went with the 6'3" bruising running back. Why? Because we got to have a great running back because Blake Bortles is our quarterback. Every decision was a circle that ended in Blake Bortles.
Sort of what the Giants did, though.
Well, but here's the difference. The Giants...
And they banked on Saquon Barkley the way they banked on Leonard Fournette.
Barkley's better than him. Barkley was better in college than him. Barkley catches the ball better than him. And they also had Odell. So you can't put 8 people in the ball. In Jacksonville, they don't have no wide receivers.
And the Giants had the Jags did this before they'd ever had success with Bortles. The Giants did it with the quarterback they'd won 2 Super Bowls with, and 2 years before they went to the playoffs. But by the way, you're right that both teams 3-8.
Yeah.
Like both teams did it. Both teams 3-8.
And running backs overrated.
And so they're in. So the Jags made that decision. And now they got to, I don't understand why they wouldn't bite the bullet and just pay out the 5th-year option, let him play under the 5th-year option. People should understand because he wouldn't have passed the physical, the 5th-year option became guaranteed. So
now they're on the books for $17 million against the cap next year.
Next year. If they cut him, that's what it is.
Right.
It's more if they don't. Like, no, they have no plan. They have no plan at this position. And Tom Coughlin's on the radio as we speak. I was reading it on Twitter during the break, talking about we were a play away from the Super Bowl. You were a play away from the Super Bowl. But now you are as far away from a Super Bowl as any team in the league. And they could have fallen into the model that's working for Chicago and Houston and Kansas City, which is spend a ton of money on a really good team around a young quarterback. Instead, they spend a ton of money on a really good team around a running back. That don't work in 2018.
And now their guy's Cody Kessler, and what's his record, see?
0-8 as a starter.
0-8.
Yep, real pissy. So if you thought you was going to get some relief, you're sleeping with the fishes.
Okay. We're going to move on to Tom Brady, whose mantra in recent years has become 40 is the new 20. Still a solid starter at age 41. Not exactly, though.
It's really about wetting the bed.
In the MVP race.
Wet the bed means pissy sheets.
Tom Brady 15th in touchdowns. Tom Brady 14th in yards per game. Not exactly GOAT-esque. Coming off win over the Jets, though, which some would say should have been easier than it was. Brady spoke about adjusting his game in his relatively old age.
Maybe part of my problem as I've gotten older is, I want to make so few mistakes. Maybe there's not as much aggressiveness as I would like because, with aggressiveness comes a little more risk. And, we have like a 95% chance of winning when we don't turn the ball over. And I think that's always in the back of my mind. So, being a little less fearful with the ball, a little more aggressive, I thought we did a better job of that yesterday. And, hopefully we can keep that going.
What do you think about what Tom Brady had to say, CeCe?
I'm not concerned because I wouldn't take more chances. If you look at the number of receivers, you look at the number of bodies, how hard it is to get in sync. We see top-flight wide receivers, Golden Tate. Go from Detroit, Matthew Stafford, overplaying with Philadelphia, struggling to make that transition. Amari Cooper, we saw him struggle for 3 or 4 weeks. Demaryius Thomas, he had his biggest game last night after coming over from Denver. Man, the continuity in the passing game, they made the rules easier, but they're still, you got to work. You got to be able to work out these things. How many steps is a guy going to take? How is a guy's stride? How is he in and out of the breaks? Can he catch a ball that's thrown behind him? What if I throw it low? Is he capable of getting down? Does he bend? Does he like to catch the ball in front of him and be able to run with it? Like, these types of things have to be worked out. And the amount of wide receivers that Tom Brady has had in the meetings with him since the spring, I think over 30 wide receivers that they have signed and had there. So he can't trust these guys. It's about winning football games. I think this is one of the least talented offenses that he's worked with. And then also you have his best wide receiver now is Josh Gordon, who started the season in Cleveland. Edelman, the most dependable slot receiver, he was suspended. Gronk has been injured. Sony Michel was hurt in training camp, but since he been injured again. So now they're getting ready to activate Rex Burkhead. He's getting ready to be back. Part of it. So the lack of continuity, the number of faces, no. Tom, keep doing it. That is not a problem. Or if it's a problem, it's rich people. It's good problems to have.
And this is the great luxury of being Tom Brady, and it's been the case throughout his entire career, is he has so rarely gone into a game with the burden of, I have to make a bunch of great plays for us to win. Now, we have seen in some of the greatest Super Bowl moments ever, the third and fourth quarter against Seattle, the third and fourth quarter against Atlanta, we have seen him execute the greatest comebacks in the highest leverage spots. We know that. But Brady in his career, when he doesn't turn the ball over, they win 89% of their games. Drew Brees, when he doesn't turn the ball over, it's 82%. Aaron Rodgers, it's 76%. So he knows I usually have a good enough team around me and a good enough coaching staff around me that as long as I don't screw it up, we got this handled. If I make the great plays, that's a bonus. But I also...
Yeah, I doubt that. I'm going to go against that because I think the way he has played in these games, Tom, he is not a game manager. Now, they do play the percentages offensively, defensively, and special teams. So their whole philosophy is they're going to take advantage of what the defense is going to give you. But you can look at Tom Brady's numbers, whether it's dink or dunk. He has carved up defenses. So I wouldn't say that he's just tried to manage.
I wasn't trying to say he's a game manager. I think he's the greatest quarterback ever. My point is, it goes back to what we were talking about yesterday, is he knows better than any quarterback you're not going to go broke making a profit. He doesn't feel like I need to make this 30-yard bomb. I can move the sticks. I can trust my guys to be where they're supposed to be, and we're going to continue to progress down the field. I also do wonder...
Wait, just real quick.
Yes.
It's what differentiates, and you made such a great point yesterday, between him and Aaron Rodgers, because when it looks like Aaron Rodgers has been pressing to go for those big bombs, Tom Brady knows if I need 3 yards for a first down, I'm okay getting just 3 yards.
Right.
And that could be a little bit more what you mean by managing the game, not as a game manager.
Absolutely. But I also think when Tom Brady's talking about this, whether he says it or not, what is sticking in the back of his head is not the fourth quarter against Seattle in the Super Bowl, is not the fourth quarter against Atlanta in the Super Bowl, but the last time he really touched the ball in the fourth quarter against the Eagles in the Super Bowl. Because what happened? Ball got taken from him. And a game that a lot of people thought they were about to drive the field down 5 and win the Super Bowl, win his 6th Super Bowl, he turned the ball over. And they lost that game. And then at the beginning of this year, he turned the ball over in 7 straight games, which was, for Brady, unprecedented. Now, since then, he hasn't turned the ball over once. He also has been much more conservative with his throws. He has had less explosive numbers. He had a 3-game stretch where he only had 1 total touchdown. But the team's winning.
So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, none of that matters.
Yeah, it's about the personnel, though. You play to the personnel. Why should he be trying to hold the ball? He's got new people on the offensive line. He's got a new offensive tackle for the first time in a long time. When you hold onto the football, people get closer to you. So you are putting the ball and turnovers at risk. And they ain't got no great deep threats on the Pats.
Right.
Like, Josh hasn't proven that. There's been a lot of miscommunication between him and Tom. Why should I sit back here and hold this ball and I can move it down the field by tossing it? Tom Brady, it ain't no problem. Keep doing what you're doing.
All right, got to take a break. We talked about Aaron Rodgers coming up. Is he starting to realize that the end is near? Hear it from him next on First Things First.